Almost everyone knows that academically the topic of Anusim, of course converts to Christianity, was the topic of my dissertation at the Spertus Institute of Jewish Studies. And I'm sure that I communicate quite a bit of enthusiasm for the topic. I've written several books on it. I lecture on it. And of course, when I meet people, I talk about it. And I think that there's some curiosity sometimes as to why it's such a fascinating topic for me. And I always relate that, well, on the one hand, it's in personal importance because I have a family history that is related to that. But I also think that there's something beyond that which most people may not understand, and that is that we live in a world in which the lines between Judaism and Christianity have been at least seemingly well drawn. And unfortunately, because of a number of things, there has been obviously less than an optimal relationship between the two, usually with the Jewish community being the group that has suffered because of anti-Jewish legislation, anti-Jewish violence, anti-Semitism, etc. And I think in many ways, individuals who are the descendants of Conversos, if you want to say Benei Anusim, they, I think, hold a very unique place in history. And if it can be articulated, if it can be developed, I think that individuals who come from Converso backgrounds can serve as a much needed bridge between the two communities. Now, it's not an easy issue because a lot of the people that come from Converso backgrounds or Benei Anusim backgrounds, or if you want to say crypto-Jewish backgrounds, a lot of these individuals, when they they find out about this, or their grandparents or their parents, whoever it is, relates this information to them, there's often a lot of turmoil that's involved with that. And sometimes there can be quite a bit of antagonism that results towards Christianity, Catholicism, Christianity in general. So it's not, an automatic resolution. It's not guaranteed in any way. But I think that people that sort of get over the initial shock or issues that they first encounter can serve a tremendously positive role in Jewish-Christian interfaith dialogue. And that's because these individuals many times obviously embrace Judaism or Jewish practices on some level. Some of them completely embrace it. Some of them incorporate certain elements into their lives. Or some of them become supportive of the state of Israel or something of that nature. And I think whatever degree that they're at, those individuals can form a critical bridge between the two communities. And I think they have something to share. Many years ago, when I was at the Siegel College of Judaic Studies, I was speaking with a professor, Dr. Ronald Browner, and we talked about different academic options for me and so forth. I mean, I was an engineer, and that's still what I do. That's what I do to this day for a living. But he said, you have something to communicate, and if you can articulate the crypto-Jewish story, that's something that you can add. And I thought about that, and I think about all the years that have passed since then, and I think it's true. I think that the crypto-Jewish experience allows people to talk about Christianity and Judaism in historical ways, which brings up some very difficult aspects of history, there's no question. But it also allows people who are, if you will, mature and can be balanced about it to understand that there's a complex relationship between Judaism and Christianity. One of the things I remember about an individual by the name of Alonso de Cartagena, who was the son of Paul of Burgos, Pablo de Santa Maria, the bishop of Burgos and also of Cartagena, I believe. His father had been Rabbi Solomon Halevi, and he had converted, whether we don't know exactly, it's 1390 or 1391, sometime before the violence. It seems it may have coincided with that, but he argued that he had converted because of theological reasons, and he adopted, at least I think everybody agrees, what were anti-Jewish perspectives, putting pressure on the Jewish community economically, socially, so that they would convert. The son had an interesting situation because by the middle decades of the 15th century, anti-Converso sentiment was growing. And of course, Alonso de Cartagena was very well aware of where he was coming from. And even though there's no indication that he was not a sincere Christian, he did formulate somewhat of a unique perspective on the issue of Converso identity. And that is that in his mind, they represented the true, legitimate heirs of what? Of the Christian tradition. He said, listen, if you look at the followers of Jesus, of course, we would assume Jesus himself, they were all Jews. And so in that sense, the fact that you have conversos, you have individuals who are Christian, Jews who have become Christians, it's the perfect connection, quote unquote. And I'm not arguing that, I'm not arguing for the correctness of Alonso de Cartagena's perspective, but I am arguing that conversos have sort of a link to these two traditions, whether it's imposed, whether it's forced, whether it's of choice or not. They have this unique history, and because they have this unique history, they often can ideally interact with both communities. Now, it's not simple, it's not easy. To be quite honest, I see a lot of the obstacles on all sides, in the Jewish community, in the families of these individuals. I've seen many times where an individual doesn't have any support from the rest of his family or her family, and they make a decision to move towards a more Jewish identity or expression, or become more pro-Israel, or whatever it is that they decide, and that causes friction and tension and division. And so it doesn't necessarily have a positive outlook, necessarily. But I think that many people see this, cost that's involved, and they think it's still worth it. Why? Because they're making, to use a Jewish term, tikkun olam, or a tikkun. Most people think of tikkun olam in terms of social justice and things of that nature. But Kabbalistically, the idea of tikkun or tikkunim are these rectifications that people work towards to rectify things in their lives, and there are many much more complex Kabbalistic ideas related to that. But this is idea that each one of us has elements that we have to rectify, and sometimes it's the rectifications of past generations. If we have an ability to set something straight, and it's within our power to do so, then obviously I think an individual should be encouraged to do so. And so I think that that's something positive that we can try to foster. I don't know that the American Jewish community has done the greatest job about it, although there are many Hispanics who have embraced Judaism. I think the numbers are relatively low when you look at the great picture of demographically of the greater Jewish community. But in any case, I think there are some people out there that have shared their history, their story, and it is my desire to further the cause of Jewish and Christian rapprochement, because I think it's beneficial to both communities. And I think that there has been a tremendous interest on the part of many evangelical Christians regarding the Jewish background in the New Testament. And many Jews will argue and contend that the only reason that they're pro-Israel or that they're interested in this is because of evangelizing agendas. And to be quite honest, I think that may or may not be true. It doesn't really matter to me, because an individual, I think, should be strong enough in his or her convictions to be able to see the benefit and the beauty of an individual appreciating the contributions of Judaism and Jewish people to the world. So anyways, that's just sort of a few thoughts that I was thinking about today as I've been looking over some literature and ordering some material. It's an exciting topic for me that has so many connections to history, and I just want to sort of continue to work on that. And if you're a person that is just starting off, learning about this, I encourage you to contact me via the website or cryptojewisheducation.com, or Facebook page, or my author page, Juan Marcos Bejarano Gutierrez. I love to talk to people from all over the world regarding this topic and seeing how I can be of assistance to them. All right, so I'll catch you in the next video, or in the next recording, or in the next blog post.